Retro anime. How did we find it? How does it hold up? Unpacking the ins and outs of being an old school nerd and proving that 80s kids can't remember a damn thing right. These are the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd.
Welcome to Mindless Midlife Musings of the Anime Nerd. I'm Rick, and I'm joined by the rest of our panel, Vic, Brian, and Lynette. Hello, everyone.
We need to go ahead and let everybody know who did this to us on this one.
What?
I want to start this off right now.
You want to call out the fact that Vic chose Perfect Blue for us to watch?
Yeah, I need to do that. I need to go ahead.
All right.
All right. And
Sounds
now,
like Brian
now
didn't
that,
like it.
Wait, hang on. I got to get through my intro. Y'all can't do this yet. I didn't even announce the anime. I just buried the lead.
right. But I needed to know because for however long we record,
Yeah.
I'm going to be looking at that person.
All right. That's fair. All right. Okay. Anyhow, today we take a look at the world of idols, fan culture, and the psychological trauma of living in that world as we discuss Perfect Blue. Perfect Blue is a 1997-1998 and Japanese animated psychological thriller directed by Satoshi Kon. It is loosely based on the novel Perfect Blue: Complete Metamorphosis by Yoshikazu Takeuchi. It has seen various releases since its Canadian premiere in 1997. It's been on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, and even PlayStation's UMD. This has been everywhere. The most recent North American release was by G-Kids via Shout Factory in 2019. So, Perfect Blue, it follows a member of a Japanese pop idol group Cham, who retires from music to pursue an acting career. And as she becomes a victim of stalking by her obsessive fan, gruesome murders take place, and she begins to lose her grip on reality.
See, or all of us. She or all of us.
That is a great conversation. I will say, yes, maybe all of us.
I don't know.
So it's right out the gate. This anime is it's sort of infamous. It was a very big deal when it came out. Japanese anime that are like psychological thrillers were not commonplace. But Perfect Blue kind of broke the mold. It garnered a huge fan following because of this. And really the timing on it was kind of perfect because the 90s was sort of just like those like psychological thriller, sexualized, like Basic Instinct, Body of Evidence kind of shit. Like, like
Crush.
that.
The
Yeah. Yeah. The Crush, like that era where this was sort of like a I don't know. It was psychological thrillers were all the rage, right? Everybody was doing one, and you always had this sort of just like not hyper sex, but sexualized like psycho. Like Cape Fear was in the 90s, right? Like there was a lot of that sort of psychological drama shit going on in that era. So this anime dropped at like a perfect time.
I
it was
hate
like
you. I hate you right now.
Sorry.
No. Look, it's often. This is not the first time this happened where I have existed some level of indignation, if you will, about this. Like, why the fuck did we sign up for this? Just for you to come through and with 2 minutes in, give me some perspective, and I'm like. That did happen during that time. And I was all over Basic Instinct. I'm like, fuck, is it needed?
The answer is yes. Yeah, everybody had one of these, man. Everybody had one of these. Like every studio was rocking these out, and Perfect Blue, it was a perfect time, pun intended, for its release, and it really just struck a chord with people. So it became extremely popular.
Man, and the thing, Yeah, man. The thing about it is that
Brian has to rethink his entire perspective on the movie now. He went in expecting to go just balls to the wall and just rip it apart. Now he's like, oh wait.
His final thoughts are all gone. He can't have those anymore.
Brian's got a hard reboot.
not because the thing about it is
Yeah.
I'll start off and say this is my first time watching it.
Fantastic.
Right.
Fantastic.
And for this being my first time watching it, I am watching it from my eyes right now.
Yeah. Sure.
But if I had been watching this when it came out, I would have been more apt to see the similarities between
You would have picked up on the whole everything on it.
Yeah.
Right. As it stands right now, I was like, who the fuck would watch this? And the answer still is you, motherfucker. You.
I own the original DVD release.
You absolutely would have watched this. Yeah. So this it was a very well-timed project. In fact, it was planned, I guess, initially as a live-action film, which speaks volumes. And I guess when studio pulled the cash out, they decided to go down to animation budget, which is significantly cheaper. So we ended up with the anime version. So
Hey, I'm so sorry, y'all. I have to stop. We're not going to be able to finish recording it. I have to stop and I have to go rewatch it now.
It's like I want an apology because Brian was like he was gonna like try to roast me over the fire about this.
Yeah, he was geared up. He was geared up to go crazy.
I was getting it. My gosh, I was about to go in. I was
Maybe
about
you
to
should have
go.
let him and then told him about it.
now he would have been way madder if I would have saved that for the end.
That would have been so funny. Just let him go and go and go and then go,
man.
you know what? It's kind of like basic instinct.
Oh man. So yes, this was as you can hear from Brian's tone, this is very much a product of its time. But it's the time in which it released is entirely accurate. So it does. It opens up very simply. We've got a pop idol. She's part of a group, and in the very opening scenes, she's basically announcing her retirement as a pop idol. And she wants to be an actress. She wants to pursue acting. And immediately we're introduced to what it is to be a pop idol, right? To have a fan base, to have hecklers, to have just all of that chaos that comes with being on a stage and being a part of this. And she's already got an obsessive compulsive security guard fan. Like he's in the, he's there doing some shit.
Can we talk about Mothman?
we can absolutely talk about him.
First 5 seconds, I knew he was a bad guy. Right there.
Right.
There.
Yeah.
Oh,
It was
yep.
not. Animation team nailed that one. You're like, oh yeah,
Oh, for
this
sure.
is it.
Leave it to good old Madhouse. The villains always look a little off.
He was jarring.
He was. Yeah. And he was very unsettling. And I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
it's intentional. It's intentional. But they coded it well. Like he almost looked like he was
molting.
jarring. He did. What I was gonna say was he almost looked like harmlessly awkward. Like he's just like, oh man, there's something wrong with this dude. He's just not right in the head. And you're just like, aw.
Nah.
But he very quickly, it goes from to sort of, oh, all right, I don't know about that.
Mhm.
Not.
Nah, for
Somebody needs
me,
to call somebody.
if anything, as I would say, there was a metamorphosis among both of the characters,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And I think I kept on pulling myself away from him because I felt like he was exhibiting more of the things about humanity that I test.
Sure.
That the possession of something that's not truly yours.
Yeah.
The just the corruption of something that really wants to just be better, and
Yeah.
he was just giving her the business, and not just
And-
her.
Yeah. And that's I think one of the things that about this anime that probably one of the better parts of it, in the sense of that this is something that still very much holds up today, is that there is a lot of social commentary and the idea of fandom and what it is to be a otaku, right? To be like obsessively interested in something, and idol culture. Right, idol culture. These girls are trained and paraded out, and they build these fan bases, especially like Korean groups, right? Korean pop groups right now are going through a lot of this, and the mental strain and the trauma that comes with this, like the rigorous amount of work these girls go through, and boys, BTS, go through to keep this stardom and this fan base, and they're a ravenous fan base, right? They're ravenous. So those are the parts of this anime that I was like, fuck, this is still like hella relevant. Like there's
for sure.
people are like, fandom can be so toxic. And now with social media, holy shit, But yeah, this for this the time capsule version of this, where she's like, what's a computer? How do I use it? Like shit like that. I was
Bro.
like, oh my God.
The early internet. Oh my God. It's like, tell me
All
that
they
did not look
needed
like
to
a
do-
GeoCities website. That was,
Look,
yeah.
all they
Oh,
needed
yeah.
to do was have a 56K modem sound in there as she was trying to connect.
Seriously. They
You
brought
had
it,
to
man.
pay for time with her
Yeah.
credit
The
card.
card,
I was
yeah,
like, oh, I
paying for the
remember
time.
that. You had
Yep.
to pay for your time.
Netscape Navigator was the browser. Like they brought
On
it.
an
Like
old
I was
Apple.
very
Yes.
impressed.
On
What's
that
funny
Apple, I was
is,
like, oh.
but what's funny is that shit was cutting edge when this anime came out.
Mhm.
That's the part that's really funny about it. To look at it now, you're like, oh man, look how retro this is. No, they were on the cusp. She had that because she had money. She was
Right.
doing well for herself.
Like all she had to say was, "Hand me that AOL CD right there, and I'll help you
Seriously,
get hooked up."
that-
If she
yeah.
had said that,
That'd have been done. Yeah.
crushed
No,
it
the
was-
point where they went, what is that string of stuff? And the lady goes, I think that's the address.
Yeah.
I was like,
That's
whoa, that's what we
I
used
was
to do.
it's legit. That took me back. It took me back immediately. I'm like, fuck, I lived this world. Like this is 100%.
Hey, I did
how it
this with
was.
my mom.
Yeah, like
I've
this
done
is
this
like
with
I
my
had
mom.
to teach people that this is a mouse and you used to click on things. Like
You
it's
move
kind
it
of wild.
around and click one, click
Um,
twice. Make sure you
So
click
yeah,
the
some
right
of
thing.
some of that shit was a little
Mhm.
it hurt a little to watch in this day and age. But
I felt
but a lot-
old. I felt
right.
so old.
I did. I felt very old. So
I felt
So-
wise. I was like,
This
I could do that.
Gandalf motherfucker over here. I was there, Gandalf, 3,000 years ago.
Yeah, no,
Felt
it
that long
definitely
ago.
felt Lord of the Rings because I was there at
I was
Mordor.
there. Oh man. So Mima is the girl in question. She's retiring from Cham. Her fandom is some of them are thrilled for her, some of them are less than thrilled with her. And she leaves Cham, her music group. I want to say this now because I promised her I would. Deb called this 5 minutes into the anime. She went, "Oh, Rumi's the killer." I'm like, "Fuck. Fuck are you talking about?" And yeah, she called it. I was like, "Damn." Like, fuck.
I didn't
So
know that.
I was like, "All right." 5
Again,
minutes
but if
in.
you look at her, it's like the eyes. It's like
Right. Something off.
it's
right.
Madhouse.
So yeah, they totally nailed that. So then I'm taken aback by the fact that she canceled her singing career for her acting career, and the role that she canceled her singing career for had one line. And I'm like, hold up, you stopped everything in your life. Like your money flow, your cash flow has stopped, and you did it for one line. you
Well,
you can do
that-
both, right? Like you can do both.
No, honestly speaking, we have the term triple threat here. You know, somebody who is a singer, a dancer,
Right.
and an actor, right?
For sure. Yes.
But I could see how that just a thought about being that in especially Japanese culture. Nah,
Right.
you can't be a chef and be an actor. You need
You're
to
absolutely right.
You need to dedicate everything to
Yeah.
your craft.
You're absolutely right, Brian.
right. So
Yeah.
where I could easily see us saying like,
Yeah.
have you not heard of
It was
Prince?
like, it was like, even J-Lo acts like, what the hell, you know? But it's not. It was not a. But you're absolutely right. Like for idol culture, it's very different. Like it's you're expected to give your all to the music, or you're expected to give your all to whatever it is you're focusing on. So she did this with the acting. It was just one of those things that as a Westerner, I'm like, bitch, please. Like
Even the
we
thing,
got EGOTs out here. Sorry.
right. I think the other thing that was shocking about it was aim and notoriety
Yeah.
did not translate over.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? You can say, I
Yeah,
can take some
expand,
of my
yeah.
popularity over here, bring it over here,
Yeah.
and then roll from there. No. She actually came over here, went right back down, took a pay cut.
Right. Yeah. You're yeah,
There was no
absolutely. It was like
lateral success.
there was
She
none. It
actually
was
went
like starting.
lower. She went
Yeah.
lower. They
I
had a
Right.
lower review of pop stars. So
I would liken it to I think the closest Western equivalent would be child stars. Right? A child star is somebody that's cherished and protected, the Drew Barrymore of the world, right? She's just adorable child star and she did all these crazy amazing movies and it was all magical. And then whew, as soon as like puberty kicks in, she's a fucking social pariah and like nothing can happen. And she had to rebuild her career with
Mhm.
some questionable movies of the psychological thriller type.
And photo
To
spreads.
all right, and to rebuild a career as a woman because her
Mhm.
career as a girl had
It's
to
over.
die. And I to me that was sort of the best Western parallel I could come up with. Being an idol was
yeah.
like being a child who is a cherished thing, and then to become the actress, she had to kill that version of herself to become this woman.
I would, I love the way you're saying that. I actually, once you guys talk me off the ledge again, I was actually able to come up with not just a real life person who I felt that this has happened to, but
Yeah.
could honestly speaking if they were going to do a live action, I thought of the perfect character cast for Mima. It would
Okay.
have been Alyssa Milano.
Oh, sure. Yeah. She's that's
Like
a great example.
she went from, she
Who's the
went
boss
from
and
who's the
Mhm.
boss and there, and
Right.
then she always had that little purity, especially after like Commando. What's the
Yeah.
Commando shoot?
Yeah,
After
she was in
Commando,
Commando. Yeah.
but then she grew up and did Embrace with the Vampire.
Right. She had to
And
come out of the gate with something shocking to like
right,
so
jolt
people
people.
see
That's
her that she's not that little girl anymore.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
and I see that, like, even Britney Spears. Britney Spears is probably the better example
probably.
of it.
Yeah.
And she went from being on Mickey Mouse Club, and then after
Right.
that, she had her and Christina Aguilera. They
So
had to,
yeah.
yeah,
I just want
Radcliffe
to
did it
point out
too.
who?
Radcliffe did it too. After
Absolutely.
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
After he did Harry Potter, he went full frontal on Broadway.
I just want to
Totally
point
killed
out
it.
to you
So
guys that you have just named like a half dozen stars that this story is of.
mhm.
And that's and I think that's the most poignant point of this anime is that it is almost a true story. It's the same story over and over again
Yes.
of somebody that's leaving a genre of work or leaving an era behind and having to reinvent themselves. And that's all Mima's trying to do in this anime. And it's killing her, right? And with some of these actresses, Britney Spears or Drew Barrymore, that it's narcotics, right? But in
That's what-
this anime, it's not that. It's this psychosis. It's this lingering
Psychosis, yeah.
guilt. This
Yeah.
lingering guilt
Mhm.
about that she'd made the wrong decision and she's feeling all this pressure on her. And I'm assuming, I can't know, I don't know these people, but I'm assuming that happened to a lot of these actors that we're mentioning too. But in this, of course, it's a fiction, so they escalated. But like the bones of that trauma, the bones of that life, that's all there, and that's a tale that keeps getting told. Like, look at all this
Yeah.
shit that happened with the Nickelodeon kids, right? Like, they went through some shit, and that image of them's gone. Like, they have to reinvent themselves as adults now.
And not just that, we haven't even. We're talking about not only the psychosis, but the actual violence that actually happens within. But we haven't even talked about how the system
Oh, yeah.
or has also gets a hold of them and can spit them out, like your Harvey Weinsteins or your R. Kellys,
Sure.
if you will.
Yeah.
And I think I do like, I mean, I hate that, obviously, it's terrible, but I do like that this film does touch on that, right? Like, the photographer that they hire, he's, like, not he's not, he's not great, like, he's just,
He's
like,
like a little
that ske
sleazeball.
he's a skeezy son of a bitch, and the director of her first movie out the gate's like, "Hey, we're gonna put you in a rape scene." Like, all of it is
Yes.
that. All of it is that. And I think that's their version of telling a story. And obviously, this is an Eastern film. So this is more of a commentary on their
There,
pop.
we didn't even
Yeah,
have to get over here
right.
yet.
Yeah, this is more of a commentary on their popularity and on their, celebrity status and all of that, and less Western. But there's so much of it that is parallel to ours. And I appreciated all that. I thought that was more more interesting to me than the murders. It's just like, fuck, this is terrible, It really does escalate in such a way, it's haunting in that part of it, but it's also like watching her come apart from it. That was
Really,
I mean,
and metaphorically.
yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt. It was very telling and very just like very relevant, which was just something I maybe wasn't expecting this many years down the line. Anyway, so yeah, so we've jumped around a little bit on it, but pretty much she gets into her acting career. It's not going well, amazing. So she starts to take on riskier things to elevate her career. She agrees to doing a rape scene that her manager Rumi is absolutely horrified about her doing,
She abhors.
as would any good manager would be. They would be absolutely. But her agent is all like, "Hey, look, you wanted a bigger role. This is a bigger role," and so she
Shit.
agrees to do it. She agrees to do it because she wants to dedicate herself to her craft,
Mhm.
which is just a line that really comes back later. So, nevertheless, yeah. So a series of incidents start happening. Right, there's an envelope of fan mail that shows up at her first set, and despite being a remarkably small piece of mail, has a reasonably sized explosion erupt from it, which I was like, damn.
Have we not seen any paper bombs from Naruto? We don't
I-
watch that anymore.
I was just like,
it perfectly makes sense. Little chakra.
so that the killer was Sakura. So that makes perfect sense. So yeah, so her agent gets injured. It's like a whole or not her agent, it's one of the people there. He gets injured and it's like a whole thing.
Yeah, I think it was
but
her manager.
It was, right?
Manager. Well,
So it's all dismissed. He's like, I'm fine. Anyway, they dismiss it and they move on. But
Like
then
he said that it happened to
it-
him so many times before.
right,
in life.
like he's on the floor bleeding. He's like, I'm fine. Anyway,
He's like,
That's
"Ah,
not
no
a
big
last
deal.
deal.
Tuesday. It's okay. I'm good.
Been here,
And-
done that. It's fine."
right.
Honestly speaking, with Rumi in the picture, it makes sense that this has happened to him before. The previous
So-
clients. Yeah.
So she Mima starts having these visions of herself, the real Mima, as it were, and the real Mima is taunting her about her decisions, and and calling her the fake Mima, and it's this whole thing that escalates very. I want to say it escalates very organically. And
Yeah, it just starts off a little bit here, a little bit there.
and then they got the red herring of Me-Mania. Like the whole movie, he keeps showing up. He's always creeping on her. I will say that when the note I wrote, where did I put it? Was that when I found out that Mima's room was not a live stream of her actual room, I was very disappointed in the stalker, because that's the level we're at now. Like if you're gonna be a stalker, is like, here we are in Lynette's room, and it's like a fucking hidden camera. Like
All right. I think it's now that we need to institute a new rule.
all right.
Midweek, you guys need to check on me. Now on.
All right, Brian. I'll check
And
on
the
you.
reason why I'm saying this is because of the fact that after the truck where Mothman almost ran her over,
Yeah.
then she started having her psychosis break and stuff like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
And then right after Rumi comes back and starts talking to her, she
Yeah.
has another psychosis break, and then the other guy gets killed, and she
Right.
wakes up and she thinks that she's the one that did it. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, fuck this movie. I got my own issues. I ain't got time to worry about you. I need you to have your shit together. So you
I
just told me that when you told me that Rumi was the killer,
yeah.
I legit was shocked. I was like, maybe I should have watched the rest of it.
So we
So yeah, you guys gotta
I'll
check on
check
me
on
from
you.
now on.
I'll check on you. Make sure you're in the right headspace for it. I'll bring up
Right?
Basic Instinct and shit.
Yeah,
Don't do that.
yeah.
So you're in the right. So I really some of the stuff I liked, like I appreciated, that when they all the build up to this, like the rape scene and everything, and how they're filming it, and the way that they film it is really neat because it's holy shit, it's happening, and then they cut, and then it goes to,
And
like
the
the
guy like,
wide
I'm so
shot
sorry.
again. Anyway,
I'm
he's
sorry.
just like
I'm so
leaning on. I'm
sorry.
sorry. He's like, it's fine, and it God, I appreciate how they did that. They pull you out of it. Like they do all the cuts and everything the way it's going to be, and then it's like cut, and they go wide, and you're like, oh no, this is just dudes with boom mics and shit. It was really cool. I appreciated all that.
You know
It was
that
neat.
And the bad guy's face when
Yeah,
he's over her is like really menacing, and all of a sudden they
yeah,
say cut, and he goes, "Oh, dude, I'm sorry. Are you okay? Everything all
Right?
like it
yeah.
was almost like his face turned into like kind of like a Fatima type things.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
it's real serious,
Uh-huh.
serious,
Like.
and then doo.
They say cut, and he goes, he looks really concerned. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Are you okay?
All right, you all right?
Good.
Good. Yeah.
She
Okay.
goes,
Do y'all
And then they're like,
remember
all
that?
right, rolling, and then he's like zipping his pants down again, and he goes, shit. It was great. It was really great because it took the wind out of that scene, like because that's something that you think could affect her a lot more than maybe it did. I think it did ultimately. It affected her negatively, but it was
Man,
just a very interesting like sort of break on things.
honestly, if anything, there are so many actors that get typecasted as the bad guy, and
Sure.
certain, and even like they get so humanized because of their role. They
Yeah.
even retire, like
For sure.
Joffrey from fucking Prince of Game
Yeah.
of Thrones.
Yeah, homeboy like up and quit. He's like, nah, I can't, and I don't blame him. Like that's a bad
You know
rap.
what I'm saying?
That's the
And
toxicity of fandom, man. It's rough.
so but there are so many people who are genuinely good. They just have the unfortune of being able to play a bad guy really, really well.
Absolutely.
know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like you listen to like Jason Isaacs from like
Yeah.
after doing Harry Potter. But
Absolutely.
then
Yeah.
you hear him really like, hey, I'm a good guy.
You're right.
You know?
Yeah.
So
He
I
plays a
think
great
that,
villain.
but I think that whole breakaway, it
Yeah.
gave that humanity back to whoever was the
To the
as the raper, if you will.
right.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah. They
It gave them
became
back there.
characters. Yeah.
Yeah, not just characters, but it definitely put the onus of whatever trauma that she was having. It was
Yeah.
more internal
Mhm.
as opposed to a very toxic environment.
Right.
Yeah. The director said this is the scene that we're going to put you in, and
Yeah.
all this happened, but it wasn't. Guys weren't.
It
fleeces,
wasn't
if you
guys
will.
that are like, oh yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this or something. They're there,
Right.
Yeah.
they're there doing their job, and when they
They're-
take that break, they
Everybody
they
stops.
genuinely make sure she was
Yeah.
okay.
There was a
That's
level
the
of
part that I really
professionalism
liked
there.
about it.
Yeah, there was a
Mhm.
level of professionalism there that, it could not have been. And if it hadn't been there, that absolutely you could point to that as be like, this is how her shit started. This is where it happened. But it's not.
Yeah.
Her shit was happening before that. This was
Right.
just another stop on the road for her. All this was something to piss off Rumi. That's all
Yeah.
this was. She was fine with it. This was triggering Rumi, her fan. And that's the toxicity of fandom. It's such a slippery slope. But it was neat. It was kind of an interesting scene. It was an interesting like midpoint, so to speak. And then she goes to meet with the photographer, and they're all like, "Are we sure we want her to meet with a photographer? I mean, he's known for getting these women to take their clothes off." And I mean, obviously, Yeah, that was the plan. Like, they totally wanted her to do that. They were
Mhm.
looking to I would argue Rumi maybe even a little bit wanted, not 100%, but a little bit, in the sense of that she was trying to come out of her shell. Maybe not like that. Like, that's sort of anyway, I digress. And then shit just continues to escalate.
But we have to talk about
Yeah, we
we
do.
have to talk about it's not like he was how he gets him over there, he liquors him up or he gateway
Right,
drug
yeah.
or something
It
like that.
was right.
No, he either he makes seem comfortable or comfortable enough,
Well,
and there, I'm saying, it didn't feel
It
it's
it
not like he
didn't.
was forcing her.
But right, okay, now hang on.
It's
Hang on.
it's the direction he wanted to take.
I'm gonna push back on this a little bit because
okay.
there's a lot of young actresses and possibly even actors that are put into these situations where they are looking to forward their career.
Mhm.
And they're going to say yes to just about anything if they think it'll forward their career.
Exactly.
And even if they agree to doing it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's okay that she was pressured into doing it,
Right.
or even suggested to be doing it. Ultimately, yeah, she made that call, but she made that call. Did she make that call under duress? Did she make that call because she felt if she didn't, she would disappoint her agent and the film crew or
And
the media
everyone.
outlet that was running it or everyone, and her career would be over? The pressures of that are what helped make her snap,
Right. And she
right?
was already she's already in process of breaking.
Yeah. So
Break it.
I don't feel like it's ever okay to put a young person, a young actor, who's already in a situation where maybe they're feeling way too much pressure for someone at that age, to then put them with somebody who's arguably a little predatory, even if
Yeah.
it's casual.
Mhm.
So I have to push back on it because yeah, he wasn't
and
mean to her and he wasn't alcoholic and he wasn't like groping her, being all Weinstein about it, but she was
but
still in a position that maybe she shouldn't have been.
I I definitely don't want to excuse it,
Yeah.
but I think we have to be responsible. How about that?
Okay.
Mhm.
We have to be responsible enough in terms of, well, he's a predator. Well, how was he a predator? Is it just because
Right.
of his reputation, or was he using narcotics or anything, which
Right.
is infinitely worse? Which is infinitely
Absolutely.
worse.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it,
And they
it,
don't
it's the.
go ahead.
I mean, like for instance, say this was Austin Powers,
Sure.
right? Austin Powers had a air about himself where at some point in time he was taking the pictures and then he going to flip a switch and next you know it was fucking go time.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So what does the switch look like? Is it does it seek consent? Does it degrade you? You know, because ultimately speaking, that's what we as fans
Yeah.
need to be able to understand, especially when it comes to dealing with the people who we choose to support.
Right. Now you are coming at it from if I may. You are coming at it from another angle, which makes a lot of sense. This is a conscious decision that maybe Mima's making about her career. This is she wants to do it. Like it's entirely possible that that's how she wants to work. And they don't show that. They don't show whether she had a consent agreement or they don't show that the photographer had a conversation with her about this is the kind of shoot I'm thinking about doing and her being like yay or nay on it or feeling they didn't do any of that to us because they wanted us to feel unsettled by it. They wanted it to feel
Uncomfortable.
wrong. They wanted us to feel like he was a predator because whether he was or not, that's how Rumi saw him,
Exactly.
and that's what did him in. His reputation was that he was that to her, and that's what got him killed. So
Well,
it's intentionally obtuse in the sense of they don't want you to know too much about the situation because then it immediately clears Mima. Why would Mima kill him if she had this like consensual agreement and they had a whole meeting about the way the photo shoot was going to go and all this shit?
Mhm.
It had to feel like it was possible that it was her because the reveal wasn't there yet. And I mean, I'm honest to God, at this point, I'm still not sure it wasn't her that killed the photographer. Just saying. I can point to like all the other deaths in this and be like, that was Rumi, that was Rumi, that was. But when it comes to the photographer, I'm still kind of like, I don't know, man.
I
Like
think she did it.
maybe she did do that one. I don't know. So, nevertheless, I'm told that I'm wrong and that Rumi did that murder too. But still.
Ah.
Anyway, so yes, the photographer he puts her in a position to she does a nude photo shoot, or at the very least topless photo shoot. And it doesn't really matter.
That's nude. It's nude.
And you're right. And later on, he is also killed. After this, is it after this or before? I think it's after this, where she's at the studio and they're filming like her final scene or whatever, and Mimania is there, the fanboy, and he attacks her. He attacks Mima. He's her biggest fan, and he attacks her because he's fallen prey to the toxicity of his fandom, and he's fallen prey to someone posing as Mima or the real Mima, telling him that she's the fake Mima and it's all fake news, and he's got to go and take care of her for him. And he's arguably a simpleton, and he falls prey to this, and he attempts to kill Mima. And Mima bludgeons him with a hammer. It doesn't kill him, but knocks him the fuck out. It's fucking funny.
Probably make him look better. Probably made him look better.
It happens. I don't think it's intentionally funny, but I laughed pretty hard when she pops him and he kind of just stops dead cold. He's like, ah. So I was like, all right.
That delayed reaction.
Actually,
Yeah.
I had actually praised her. I was like, yes, you're going to do something smart for a change.
I
Let's
was
do
like,
this."
why'd you
Like, hit
stop
him
at
so
one
hard,
hit?
he had to think about it. It's like, did that hurt? Oh my God, that did hurt.
It was yeah. So yeah, so she gets away from all this trauma, and she goes to the only person that's been her best friend this entire time, a girl who's going to take care of her. She's spiraling down this psychosis train, and it's Rumi. And Rumi takes her back to her apartment, and Mima's looking around, and she's like, "This doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel like my apartment." And she opens the curtains to see the train going by, and she's like, the fuck? This is not my apartment. But it is her apartment, right? It's modeled down to the T. The same fucking fish, the same dolls, this everything. The whole room, it's her room. And it's at this point that it's revealed that Rumi is in fact a fucking nutter and is dressing up as Mima and thinking of herself as the pop idol version of Mima, this real Mima. And it's just this brilliantly done moment of psychosis. Like this is when fandoms go wrong, like completely wrong. This is that holy shit, we've left the reservation version of fandom. And it's really, it's right out of it's so 1990s.
Oh,
It's
for
just
sure.
so 1990s. It's exactly
That entire chase montage afterwards was just
oh my
brilliantly
god,
done.
it's all that. And what I fucking loved it, and I know you guys loved it too, when the reflection is of Mima like hopping around like a fucking psycho ghost,
It's
and
out of
Rumi's like
accident.
and Rumi's like winded, like she's having a fucking heart attack in the reflection. I was dying.
Oh God, that was hilarious.
I was dying. But it was clever, right? I felt like that was all clever in the sense of they handled it in such a way that you're putting it together. They didn't spoon feed it to you, but they're like, this is what she's seeing, or this is the reality. So yeah, so Rumi gets fucked up. I don't like, she leans onto a piece of glass. It's fucking weird. Anyway, she almost gets hit by a truck, but Mima still saves her because Mima's not a piece of shit. And she gets 5150'd, and Rumi is like, in the Arkham. It was the nicest fucking Arkham I've ever seen. And and getting visited by Mima, who has cleared her head. She's figured, out who she is. She's fine. And they even let you know that, at the end. And she basically breaks the fourth wall, and she's like, I'm okay. It's me.
Right.
Satoshi Kon The director showed an extraordinary amount of understanding about the perils of fame and its effects on women for a dude. I was pretty impressed with all that. So yeah, I know we really didn't like dig too deep into the details of it because it really is sort of a psychological like fucking hot. It's a hot mess. You really
Yeah,
It's a journey that you have to choose for yourself.
You really do. It's if you're gonna make this goulash, you got to figure out if you're the ingredient. That's a bad metaphor. I'm gonna skip it. Let's move on. We've talked a little bit about it. It's good. I think we're in a good place to sort of thing. I've got a couple musings, nothing too crazy. Obviously, anime was a big hit in the 90s. It inspired a bunch of directors and writers and shit. Everyone from Madonna to Darren Aronofsky, like there's so many people that this movie affected. That parts of the anime were used in sort of one of Madonna's videos during her tour. Aronofsky basically copied it with the Black Swan, like a whole bunch of shit from it.
That's it.
Yeah. You just stole my closing thing. It was like the Black
Yeah.
Swan meets the Fan. All
Yeah.
that's the
Fucking
combo that I got.
God damn it, Lynette, that's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, so he was very inspired by it. A lot of scenes, a lot of parallels between that and the Black Swan. Apparently the original camera negatives were destroyed. So all they have are copies sourced from other 35mm prints. Like the originals are gone.
So basically what you're saying is Rumi could have looked better. But this is all they had left.
No. The details showing how bad she actually looked would have came out if they had the original film negatives.
And like the Requiem for a Dream, there's the bath scene in Requiem for a Dream was directly inspired by the bath scene in this movie. So there's a lot of a lot of people were affected by it. So that's kind of all the notes I really had. So yeah, you guys want to roll into some thoughts on this? Vic
wanna
wants
go
to
first.
Go first.
Go, Vic.
Huh?
No, Vic.
Who's gonna go
Vic called it. He raised his hand. Vic's going.
Okay. So
Sweet baby.
this is gonna be nice and simple. I love the fact that Brian went into this. He's thinking he's got one on everyone, that no one's gonna like it, and then not even 5 minutes into recording, Rick just blew his mind, and Brian had a total psychological break on his opinion of the show. And
About a
then
psychological break?
not even 2 minutes ago, when Lynette brings up Black Swan, it happened again. So Brian here, he's prepared to like rip me a new one, and it's gone.
This was
And I
a
feel
journey of
guilty for
discovery.
that.
Journey of self-discovery.
Other than that, I suggested it because for the time it was a phenomenal. It's a great movie. It's really, really well regarded. I just had it up too.
It is.
I mean,
It is, yeah.
internet sites are not the most reliable always, but like,
What?
was it?
The internet's not true? Fuck.
Especially when it comes to ratings. But 1 second. On like my anime list, it's got a score of 8.5 out of 10. It's ranked number 122 out of God knows how many tens of thousands of titles. And AnyDB has it ranked at 7.91.
All right.
So I mean, it is a phenomenal story, but it is kind of dark. It has its moments. And unless you have the intuition of Rick's wife and called out Rumi, 5 minutes in,
I looked at
they
her
will
like,
keep you
you
guessing.
bitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's been about 15 years since I last watched it, so I totally forgot about the twist. So when it happened again, it was like, oh, damn it, that's right. It was Rumi. So it is a phenomenal watch. You should watch it. I mean, God, it's just a good movie. And especially if you're a fan of those kind of movies that you brought up, Basic Instinct, The Swan, Black Swan,
Yeah.
those psychological horror movies from the late 90s and early 2000s, you're going to enjoy it.
Please, nobody bring up another movie.
I'll behave. You can go next, Brian. That way you're safe.
I'm still going to fucking break. I'm still going to break.
So,
all right.
it's like, watch. Your turn.
Fantastic. Big, you want it?
I might as well complete this coup de grace.
Yeah, I'll go.
Lynette.
All
I'll
right,
bring
Lynette.
up another one. Like I said, The Fan. I don't know if anybody remembered
The
that
Fan.
one.
Yeah.
The Fan.
Robert De Niro and
with
what's his
Linda-
name?
Yes.
The fan.
You mesh that with the Black Swan, and you got this movie. That's
Oh,
basically what
that's
she
great.
got right
That's
there.
really fucking good.
Yeah. So when I
Good.
first saw this, I was like, "Ooh, this reminds me of Black Swan." And then I saw like the fan site. I was like, "This reminds me of the fan. What's happening?" And I was like, "Oh, something's bad. Something's bad." But
Oh man.
I
Have
would
you watched this one
definitely.
before?
No, I have never watched this one
Okay.
before. And
Awesome.
I wondered why, because it came out when
Yeah.
I was old enough to watch
Sure.
things like this, and so. But yeah, so it was a pleasant surprise when I was watching. I was like, "What the heck? Is she losing her mind? What's going?" I felt like I was losing my mind. I had to like
Yeah.
rewind things because I thought I was seeing things. I was like, "Am I imagining her killing these people, or is this really happening in the rewind?" Right? Yeah. Okay. She killed the photographer. I don't care what anybody else says. That's the real one that she did. She really did that one
Like
because.
she found the bloody clothes in her own closet. Like
Well, and the thing that lets me know that she probably killed the photographer is that she's reading that diary going,
Yeah.
"Oh, I went to Harajuku today. Yeah, that's what I did." I was like, "Oh, holy, what the?" She killed the photographer.
so she's responsible for at least one murder.
Yes, I mean, I would have to say some of the stuff is a little dated, like the computers that you
Yeah.
knew. The new generation will probably look at that and go, "That's not a computer. I don't understand." Yes,
Why is it
yes,
so
children,
big?
that was a computer. Yes, why is it so big?
Why did she just
Why
use
is
this
it
Why'd they have
all
problem?
to
in
put
one like that?
Yeah,
It's
that's
ew.
great.
Yeah, why'd they have to put their credit card in just to connect to the internet? I don't get that. All that.
There's no
Yes,
Wi-Fi.
it's
Where the fuck is the
yeah,
Wi-Fi?
right, exactly. So I think that part's probably the only thing that would confuse people, but everything else, the story would resonate with a lot of people who watch it now. So I think while it may be dated, I would recommend it for anybody else to watch it. But yeah.
Rock on. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Brian, you ready to take this?
Yeah.
Go ahead, man.
I think thing that set me off the most is that when you are sometimes when you watch anime, there is a animation style or that completely takes you out
Mm-hmm.
and lets you know it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
They distinctly, I'm talking about deliberately,
Yeah.
made sure that the animation here made it feel like this is it almost felt real as opposed to
Mm-hmm.
animation,
Right.
and grounded it too much for me.
Mm.
You know, it's I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to attach too much energy to something that I possibly wouldn't agree with, regardless of the artistic value.
Sure.
But I can guarantee you there are so many movies that I watched back in the 90s. Hand on Rocks the Cradle.
Yep. That facts.
You
Single white
yeah,
female.
single white female. Fear and Cape Fear. So,
Yes.
right.
and I don't know if I would have been able to watch those movies today.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we talk about is does it hold up? And the reality is, unfortunately, it does. Unfortunately, it does.
It failed successfully.
Because it's not like we learned fucking lessons.
Yeah, that is fair.
The time of recording this, Katy Perry went to upper space for 11
She went to
minutes.
upper atmosphere, yeah.
Yeah.
Upper atmosphere for 11 minutes. It came down, and they crucified her.
Yeah.
We're talking about toxic fandom. Well,
Yeah.
the only difference is that we can get toxic way quicker.
It's a lot easier now, yeah.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Way quicker. And I can only imagine the level of perfection that some type of celebrity must feel like they have to be on.
Sure.
You know, and that fall from grace is, why would anybody want to do? And I felt like that was the underlying message. This is look, you go ahead and chase your dreams, but it comes up with a cost.
Yep.
And personally, there are points to this where I was like, man, this cost is too great.
Yeah.
I couldn't continue on the journey knowing that I swear to God, at the end of this, as you guys were talking about it, I'm like, it was roomy. Of course it was roomy.
Of course it was right. Yeah.
So if you're gonna watch this, you have to watch this as a cautionary tale.
Sure.
And please don't look for any gratuity or from there. It's one thing to look for. It's not like Mima is drawn horribly. He's a very attractive person, but you're looking at it like, man, I don't. And we watched hentai, and I was like, man, I really don't want her to be nude here. I really don't want her to be nude here.
Yeah.
Took her forward? Sure, go ahead.
All right.
Oh, that's how real this one feels.
Unsettlingly real. Yeah.
It definitely didn't get an erection.
God,
That's
I'm
good.
glad. I'm really glad to hear that. I really am. This is definitely a time where the status of your erections was important for me. I'm really glad.
I don't have many left, man. I'm late 40s. I gotta make sure that if I'm a Papa Chubby.
All right. Yeah. Guys,
Wait. I'm still waiting for my apology. You tried to call me out very, very, very opening of the show. You even said you were going to sit there staring and pointing at me the whole time.
And that lasted all the way until he said that. I was like,
you did come
I
out.
was
You
like,
really
this.
did do that. You came out swinging.
Yeah.
It didn't.
you're right.
You said that. I was like,
You were Knives Out for sure.
just said it. I had broken out the old Blackstone. They had she just sitting there just sharpening it. Vic, I owe you an apology.
I accept.
Fantastic.
It was just awesome just holding that over you the entire time.
Glad that we could come to an
I
agreement on
fucking
this.
hate. I apologize, but I fucking hate you.
I can accept
fucking
that.
hate what you did to me.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna. I guess
Please be
I'll
gentle.
go here.
Please, I don't
No.
know if I could take more.
Look,
I know
you
you're gonna-
guys.
I know you're gonna say something that's just gonna set me off. I know you're gonna do it. Please, I'm just saying.
Let Brian down gently.
Look, guys.
Please.
Honestly, it's so the closest thing I could come up with to this was really honestly, and I only said it once, was single white female, right? And the relationship between the two girls in that, and how literally one of them changes the way she looks to appear as though she is, the main character, and it's such a jarring moment. It's like this violating moment for the the main character, and you feel that for her, and that's this movie. This movie's, to me, that's the quickest way I was able to relate it. It's absolutely a product of its time. It's timely in the sense of the animation style, in the sense of the technology that's used in it, in the sense of that. But like Brian said, it's almost a cautionary tale for today. All right, like all the same shit that's happening here is the same shit that's happening in the world right now. To
It's worse.
really good people, really easily, because the internet's just turned into a cesspool of human filth. And
If anything, you could say this was a lesser version of it, and that's the
Right.
problem.
yeah, and that is the problem. I appreciated what it had to say. This movie, I thought it was, like Brian said, unfortunately relevant. But yeah, I think that if you're gonna watch this, it's not titillating, right? There's nudity in it, there's violence in it. None of this is gratuitous. None of this is in any. It's all in service of the plot. Honest to God, it really is, and it builds a world where you feel uncomfortable, which is absolutely the point. And you're in this ride with her, with Mima, through it, and I think it's brilliant for that. I think that's, I think it's obviously the point. But yeah, I think if you're gonna check this out, you gotta be ready for what you're about to experience. I think people who are fans of psychological thrillers are probably gonna eat this up. I think that this anime has a lot to teach people about being a fan. I think this anime has a lot to teach people about the boundaries of being a fan. I don't necessarily know that the people that need that lesson are going to get that lesson from this anime, and that's
Of course
maybe that's unfortunate. But it is an excellent commentary on the toxicity of fandom and the obsessiveness of it. And I think that for that reason alone, it's worth watching.
Isolationists, the isolation that happens as a result of it.
Look, I'm gonna do a little thing here. I experienced the shallowest, tiniest version of this, and it was uncomfortable for me. Just being small town famous is enough to get people that are way too comfortable thinking they know everything about you and thinking they know you and injecting themselves into your lives in such a way that it becomes unsettling for you. And you're uneasy and you don't really know how to handle that. And how do you keep these people at arm's distance? And you're still trying to maintain your professional career while also, trying to maintain privacy, and being able to juggle that even at the minute version of it that I had, was difficult.
I believe it.
And I can't fathom how much more complex and difficult and unsettling it is for someone at Mima's level, let alone someone higher up, like the Val
national,
Kilmers of the world,
international.
or
Yeah.
like those people who are never afforded a moment of humanity because they're always expected to be on. And that's just the tiniest sliver of that in my life was enough for me to respect what was happening with Mima and to understand that this is really fucking hard to deal with. So I guess if I have anything to tell people about this, it's that remember in your fandoms that everyone is doing a job and that everyone is a human being and they got shit going on, and maybe they don't have time for you that day. Maybe they're just having a bad day, and maybe their coffee wasn't right. Whatever it is, whatever the straw is, that these are all people, all of them, and every one of them deserves your respect and your distance. They're not your friends. I don't care how many times you've watched their movies. I don't care how many times you've been to their events. I don't care how many things you've pushed in front of them for them to sign. These are human beings, and they are owed the same semblance of privacy that you expect in your life. So just
And dignity.
Yeah.
Yes, you need to remove their celebrities, so this is what they signed up for from your
Right.
thought process.
that
Right.
is not
Remove that from your brain.
that is not a healthy outlook on anything, because
Mhm.
sometimes those people are not celebrities for the reasons that, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you don't expect it, and it's just or sometimes it's completely innocuous and you're just there doing a different kind of job. I was a fucking
Yep.
journalist. I wasn't trying to be an actor. I wasn't doing voiceover work at the time. I wasn't doing any. I was a
You were
fucking
just reading
journalist.
the news.
I was just reading the news. I was telling people what the weather was going to be, and people were already uncomfortably close to me. So I can't even imagine what it's like for the real celebrities of the world. Like that's just, you need to give people grace, and you need to understand that these are just people, and if they want to talk to you, they're going to talk to you. Just be respectful. Respect it. Respect what I teach my son all the time. Respect, politeness, and kindness. Those are the three things you should be at all times. Anyway, that's my closing thought on this. Is that's the lesson. That's the takeaway. Is this is a commentary on the horrors of fandom, and unfortunately, it's not a lesson that maybe the right people will learn. So I don't mean to bring it down on a negative note. I apologize for that, but that is gonna
look. Not all of these are meant to. Sometimes we have to get real.
Yeah. It hit a little close to home for me, and again, sliver. I make no illusions that I am anywhere near the level of celebrity that any of these, even these fictional characters are. But just a sliver of it was unsettling just for me.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Who in your life would you have thought would have been your roomie?
Fucking hell, man. I don't know, man. I don't think I was at that level. I don't think I was anywhere near. I don't think I was anywhere near that level.
Yeah, I can't even think of anyone that would have.
Yeah, and Vic's met half of them, so I don't think I was ever anywhere near that level.
Blink twice if it was Vic.
It
There you
wasn't
go,
me.
Brian. Thank you for bringing it back to a lighter note.
I had to find a way.
That is going to do it for our show today. So until next time, keep calm and carry an ice pick. No, that's not right.
No, it's
Just
not
for
legal.
God's sake, see a therapist.
You've just been privy to the mindless midlife musings of the anime nerd, presented by Geek Grotto. For show notes and corrections or for general geeky fun, you can visit our website at geek-grotto.com. If you're listening to us on your favorite podcast app, please like, follow, and subscribe.